Not just physically, not just because your knees ache more than they did 10 years ago, or because your back feels a little stiffer in the mornings, but mentally, emotionally, energetically, there's this quiet heaviness that seems to creep into the everyday. Tasks that once felt effortless now feel like mountains. You walk into a room and forget why. You try to sleep but wake up tired. You eat well, take your vitamins, and yet something still feels off. Maybe you've chalked it up to aging. Maybe you've told yourself, this is just how it goes. And maybe you're right. Partly, our bodies do change. Our energy does shift. But what if the root of the problem isn't as complex as we think? What if it's not about disease or decline? What if it's about something much smaller and much more fixable? Let me share a story. Several years ago, I visited an elder care facility to speak with residents about mental clarity and aging. I was expecting the usual concerns: memory loss, loneliness, mobility issues. But instead, I was met by something unexpected: a nurse. Her name was Dr. Emma Reeves, a woman in her 60s who'd spent over 3 decades caring for the elderly. After my talk, she approached me with a calm, knowing look and said, "You know what separates the patients who thrive in here from the ones who quietly give up? It's not money. It's not medication. It's not even family support." She paused, then smiled gently. "It's hygiene." I laughed. "You mean like keeping their rooms clean?" "No," she said. "I mean how they care for their bodies, the small, forgotten parts, the way they hold a towel to their face, whether they still wash their feet intentionally. If they remember to clean their tongue, these tiny things, they reveal everything." At first, I didn't understand, but the more she explained, the more it made sense. You see, as we age, we don't just lose strength, we lose awareness. Awareness of our body, of the routines we used to follow automatically, the rituals that once kept us connected to ourselves. Think back. In your younger years, you probably had a rhythm. You stood straighter when brushing your teeth. You washed your face with care before heading out the door. You checked your reflection not for vanity, but because you felt alive. Now, many older adults report that they go through the motions. Hygiene becomes habit, but not intention. The mind is elsewhere. The hands move automatically, and as a result, important parts of the body are forgotten entirely. But here's what most people don't realize. Those overlooked areas, the ones we skip because they don't seem that important, are often the first places that affect our immune system, our energy levels, our ability to fight disease, and even our emotional well-being. Let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you intentionally cleaned your feet? Not just rinsed them, but really cleaned them. What about the inside of your nose, your underarms? Have you ever thought about how your lymph nodes work under there? And your tongue, do you know how much bacteria live there? I know these questions sound odd, maybe even uncomfortable, but they matter. In fact, they matter more now than they ever did in your 20s or 30s. Why? Because aging isn't about being weaker. It's about being smarter. It's about working with your body, not against it. It's about replacing speed with precision and youth with wisdom. And part of that wisdom lies in returning to the basics. Let's be honest. The health world today is noisy. Supplements, superfoods, infrared saunas, breathing exercises, sleep trackers, biohacking devices. It's overwhelming. But most of that, it's noise. It's distraction. What truly makes a difference, especially after 50, is consistency in the little things. Dr. Reeves told me something else I never forgot. She said, "If you give me a patient who takes 5 extra minutes a day to clean the right body parts consistently, I'll show you someone who gets fewer infections, has more stable moods, better sleep, and clearer thinking." 5 minutes, that's it. But here's the catch. It's not about just washing. It's about presence. It's about reawakening the forgotten relationship with your own body. We spend our lives caring for others: children, spouses, parents, bosses, colleagues. And somewhere along the way, especially in our later years, we forget to care for ourselves. Not out of laziness, but out of habit. Out of the slow erosion of self-priority. And I'm here to tell you, You are not too old to change that. You are not too late, not too far gone, and not too set in your ways, because this is not about reinventing your life. It's about gently restoring it, about reclaiming the quiet strength that still lives within your routine. The kind of strength that says, I still matter. So why do the small things matter so much? Because every time you pause to wash your feet thoroughly, you send a message to your nervous system. You're worth this moment. Every time you take a tongue scraper and clean the bacteria from your mouth, you tell your body, I care about what goes into my bloodstream. Every time you rinse your nose or gently dry your underarms with care, you say, I'm still connected to the vessel that carries me. This isn't hygiene, it's reverence. It's mindfulness, disguised as a simple routine. And the truth is, these moments don't just clean your body, they heal your spirit. Because the act of caring for yourself, especially when no one else sees, is an act of profound self-respect. It's quiet, it's unseen, it's unglamorous, but it changes everything. In the coming minutes, we're going to talk about 5 specific body parts that are almost always neglected, especially by those over the age of 50. And we're going to explore why they matter, what the science says, and how just a few minutes a day can help restore your energy, your balance, your immune strength, and even your joy. Because yes, joy is physical. It lives in your breath. It lives in the comfort of your skin. It lives in how clean and alive you feel when you start your day with intention instead of autopilot. So if you've ever felt like your energy was fading, if your memory's been slipping, if you've been feeling off but can't put your finger on why, start here. Start small. Start with what you still have power over: your touch, your awareness, your time. Because you deserve to feel clean, clear, alive, and whole. Not because the world expects it, but because you still care. And that, my friend, is the beginning of everything. So now that you understand why the small things matter, it's time to get specific. Let's walk through 5 of the most overlooked body parts, areas of the body that often go ignored, yet silently shape your vitality, your clarity, your resilience, and even your longevity. These are not just hygiene tips. These are foundational shifts in the way you care for yourself. And when practiced daily, gently, mindfully, they can reconnect you with the strength, dignity, and peace that your body still wants to give you. Let's begin with the most overlooked yet most influential part of your body, your tongue. 1. The tongue, the forgotten gatekeeper. Think of your tongue as a gatekeeper. It's the first stop for everything you consume: food, liquids, air. It's also home to hundreds of bacterial species, many of which are harmless, but some of which can create chaos if left unchecked. And here's the part most people don't realize. Your tongue directly affects your heart. Studies have shown that harmful bacteria residing on the tongue can enter your bloodstream through tiny abrasions in the gums. This is even more common as we age, because gum sensitivity increases and healing slows down. Once in your bloodstream, this bacteria can trigger inflammation throughout the body, affecting not just your heart, but your joints, your blood vessels, even your brain. So what can you do? A simple, inexpensive tongue scraper can become your greatest ally. Unlike brushing, scraping removes deeper layers of bacteria. It also clears away dead cells and food debris that sit like a film on the surface, affecting your sense of taste and, yes, even your digestion. Every morning before you eat, scrape from back to front, gently but thoroughly. Do it again before bed. Rinse well. You'll be shocked at what comes off. People often report brighter breath, sharper taste, and an almost immediate reduction in that fuzzy mouth feeling they didn't even realize had become normal. But more importantly, this one act can reduce the burden on your immune system. It gives your body one less battle to fight, and in aging, energy conservation is everything. Your body is wise. It will reward your effort. 2. The feet, your foundation of strength and stability. Let's move downward to the part of your body that literally carries you through life, your feet. It's ironic, isn't it? We rely on our feet every day, yet they often receive the least attention. They are hidden, enclosed in socks and shoes, taken for granted until something goes wrong. And by the time discomfort appears, dryness, fungal infections, tingling, or numbness, damage has often already begun. Your feet are a mirror of your circulation. When blood flow slows, your feet are the first to suffer. Swelling, cold toes, changes in skin color. These aren't just cosmetic, they're warning signs. In people over 60, unhealed foot injuries can lead to ulcers, infections, and even amputations, especially in those with diabetes or poor vascular health. So what does proper foot care look like? It begins with washing intentionally, not just letting the shower do the work, but using your hands or a soft cloth to gently scrub all surfaces, especially between the toes. Warm water, never hot, mild soap, nothing harsh. Drying is just as vital. Moisture trapped between toes becomes a breeding ground for bacteria and fungi. Use a separate towel for your feet if possible, and don't rush it. This is not just cleaning, it's connection. Once dry, use a rich moisturizer on the soles and tops of your feet, never between the toes. Check your skin daily for cuts, sores, or discolored areas. These tiny inspections could save you months of recovery, and here's something most people miss. Your feet are deeply connected to your balance and confidence. When they hurt, you hesitate. When you hesitate, you lose strength. And over time, this creates a quiet spiral into fear, frailty, and withdrawal. Don't let that happen. Every time you care for your feet, you're not just preventing infection, you're reclaiming your freedom of movement. 3. The underarms, your hidden detox system. Now let's move to a spot most people treat as nothing more than a deodorant zone, your underarms. It may surprise you to learn that your armpits play a vital role in your body's lymphatic system, the system responsible for eliminating waste, filtering toxins, and supporting immune function. Underneath the skin are clusters of lymph nodes that work silently every day to cleanse and protect your body. But here's the problem. When we only mask this area with deodorants, especially those containing aluminum, we trap sweat, bacteria, and chemical residue into the pores. Over time, this buildup can cause irritation, painful lumps, or even block lymphatic drainage. The solution is simple, but requires awareness. Every day, clean this area with warm water and a soft cloth. Use circular motions, then upward, then sideways, like polishing something precious, because it is. Rinse thoroughly to remove soap and product residue. Dry completely before applying any deodorant. And consider switching to natural, fragrance-free options, especially if you've experienced irritation, rashes, or underarm darkness. One older woman I spoke with, 66-year-old Olivia, had dealt with underarm itching and bumps for years. She assumed it was hormones, or just old skin. But when she stopped using her usual deodorant and started cleansing with care, everything changed. Now I feel clean, not just covered up, she told me. The difference isn't just in how you smell, it's in how your body functions. When your lymph system flows freely, inflammation drops, immunity improves, your energy returns, all from giving attention to a place most people forget even exists. 4. The nose, your air filter for clarity and calm. Take a breath with me now. Inhale through your nose, slowly. How clear does it feel? How deep can the air go? If it feels tight, stuffy, or one side is more blocked than the other, you may be experiencing something that many older adults do without realizing it: chronic nasal congestion. We breathe through our noses over 20,000 times per day, but unlike our mouth or skin, we rarely clean the inside of our nose unless we're already sick. That's a mistake. Your nose is your first line of defense against airborne bacteria, dust, allergens, and pollution. And when it's clogged, irritated, or dry, not only does your immune system suffer, but your brain does too. Yes, your brain. Reduced oxygen flow to the brain has been linked to fatigue, brain fog, sleep apnea, and even increased risk of dementia. That's how important nasal hygiene is. So how do you care for it? Start with a saline rinse. You can use a pre-made spray or a neti pot with distilled water and a pinch of sea salt. Do it once in the morning to clear overnight buildup and once before bed if needed. Inhale steam from a hot shower or a bowl of warm water with eucalyptus oil. Breathe slowly. Feel your passages open. And if you live in a dry environment, apply a tiny dab of coconut oil or vitamin E oil with a clean cotton swab inside the nostrils. This prevents painful cracks and supports better filtering. James, a retired carpenter in his late 60s, told me he used to wake up with his mouth dry and his head foggy. "I thought I was just getting old," he said, "but after using saline spray for 2 weeks, I slept through the night and woke up clear. I didn't realize how much congestion was dragging me down." The breath is life. Don't block it, honor it. 5. The belly button, the quiet core of cleanliness. Finally, we come to the most surprising part of all, your belly button. Yes, really, it might seem insignificant, but your navel is a small enclosed area where sweat, lint, dead skin, and bacteria gather, especially if you have a deep-set navel or wear tight-fitting clothes. And yet, most people never clean it, not since childhood. What's the risk? Odor, itching, skin irritation, in rare cases, even infection. The fix is gentle and simple. Once or twice a week, use a cotton swab dipped in warm water or diluted witch hazel. Gently clean inside the navel. Dry thoroughly. Done. Jane, a 78-year-old grandmother I spoke with, had spent months changing detergents and soaps, trying to find the cause of a musty smell she couldn't identify. It wasn't her clothes. It was her belly button. Once she started including it in her hygiene routine, not only did the smell disappear, but her stomach skin felt smoother, and she felt fresh again for the first time in years. If you have a navel piercing, even an old one, it's even more important to clean around the jewelry. Piercing holes never fully close. They remain tiny doorways for infection if ignored. This tiny spot may not seem important, but it holds a quiet symbolic power. It's the first place you were connected to life. Cleaning it, honoring it, reconnects you to that sense of origin and wholeness. After everything we've explored, you might be surprised at just how much power exists in the ordinary. Not in expensive treatments, not in fancy fitness routines or new technologies, but in the way we brush, rinse, wash, dry, and touch the body that has carried us, quietly and faithfully, for decades. And it's worth repeating, the 5 parts we often neglect, the tongue, the feet, the underarms, the nose, and the belly button, are not just footnotes in personal hygiene. They are windows into deeper self-awareness. They are reflections of how we treat ourselves when no one is looking. These areas may not receive much attention in glossy magazines or loud health commercials, but for those of us over 50, for those who have lived enough to know what truly matters, they hold a different kind of value, a wisdom that doesn't shout, but whispers. Your tongue isn't just about taste. It's connected to your immune system, your digestion, even your heart. Your feet don't just help you walk. They hold your balance, your freedom, your safety. Your underarms are more than sweat zones. They're home to your lymphatic health, which silently supports everything from energy to disease resistance. Your nose, often taken for granted, is the gateway to breath. And breath, as we now know, is everything. And your belly button? It may be small and silent, but it's a symbolic return to your beginning, an intimate space where cleanliness, intention, and respect can quietly reconnect you with your body. So why do we forget them? Perhaps it's because no one taught us to notice, or because with age we naturally turn outward, toward responsibility, toward caretaking, toward survival. We forget that attention is not a luxury, it is a need, a human one. And what is attention if not love made visible? Caring for your body, especially in the small ways, is not a burden. It is a form of reverence, a soft daily reminder that you still matter, that your body still deserves comfort, still deserves gentleness, still deserves respect. That foot you moisturized tonight, it once carried you to your first job interview. That nose you rinse in the morning, it breathed in the scent of your first child. That tongue you cleaned today, it once whispered love, anger, laughter, and secrets. These aren't just parts of your anatomy. They are living memory. They are part of your story. And stories deserve to be preserved. The problem is most people wait. They wait until something hurts, until a doctor warns them, until their balance is off, their breath is shallow, Their energy is gone. And only then, when symptoms speak louder than silence, do they begin to ask, "What have I missed?" But you don't have to wait. The beauty of this message is that it asks nothing more than awareness. It asks for just a few quiet minutes each day to remember what your body remembers, to clean, to notice, to tend, and to honor. Let me be clear, this isn't about perfection. It's not about adopting a strict routine or trying to turn back time. It's about reclaiming something that was always yours, your ability to connect to yourself with care. And that care, it adds up. Day after day, it begins to ripple. You start feeling more grounded in your body. You move with more steadiness. You sleep a little better. Your thoughts feel a little clearer. And gradually, a quiet pride grows. Not from how you look, but from how you feel. From knowing you've taken back something sacred, your time, your energy, your presence. Because in a world that constantly pulls our attention in every direction, choosing to focus inward is revolutionary. It tells your nervous system, you are safe. It tells your body, you are still being cared for. And it tells your spirit, you are not forgotten. Too often we are taught to see aging as loss. Loss of youth, of looks, of usefulness. But what if we started to see it differently? Not as a decline, but as a refinement. Not as an ending, but as a return to the basics, to simplicity, to meaning. Because here's the truth. Growing older doesn't strip away your worth. It reveals it. It peels away the distractions, the noise, the speed, and brings you back to what has always mattered. How you love, how you connect, how you care. And yes, that includes how you care for your body, especially when it's no longer easy, especially when it requires patience, especially when no one else sees. That is the mark of true wisdom. So as we close this chapter and look toward the next, I invite you to pause, right now, in this moment. Feel your feet against the floor. Breathe slowly through your nose. Place one hand over your heart and simply say, I'm still here and I still matter. Let that be the beginning. Let it be the first step in a new chapter, one that doesn't rush, but remembers, one that doesn't demand, but invites, one that says, even now, I choose to care. And when you choose care, everything begins to shift. Your health responds, your mind clears, your soul softens, not all at once, not overnight, but surely, quietly, deeply. And so now, as we move into the final message of this journey, just know this: the smallest gestures, done with intention, can become the strongest foundation for healing. This isn't just hygiene, this is hope, and it leads us to one final reflection, a truth that every wise elder eventually understands, a truth I'll share with you right after this pause. As we grow older, we start to realize that the things which truly matter aren't always loud or grand. They're quiet, subtle, often invisible, and yet they hold the greatest power, like the simple act of caring for your own body, not out of vanity, but out of respect. Cleansing your tongue, washing your feet with intention, rinsing your nose, gently drying your underarms, even remembering your belly button. These are not small acts. They are quiet declarations that say, I'm still here and I still care.